about amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. It's a disease entity that presents with combination of upper motor neuron and lower motor neuron symptoms. This time, we'll try to learn about other disease entities, motor neuron diseases that will predominantly present with upper motor neuron and or lower motor neuron signs. But literature would say now whether this was classified under upper motor neuron or lower motor neuron, eventually, years down the line, ang ending would be ALS yapon. There would be combination of upper motor neuron, lower motor neuron signs eventually. Okay, so what are these diseases? So there's primary lateral sclerosis, this is an upper motor neuron disease. There's hereditary spastic paraparesis, also upper motor neuron. And subsequently are the lower motor neuron diseases. Progressive muscular atrophy, hereditary muscular atrophy, under which there's SMA, the different types of SMA, spinobulbar muscular atrophy, and hereditary bulbar palsy. Okay, so let's start. Primary lateral sclerosis is an upper motor neuron syndrome. It was distinguished because of lack of lower motor neuron signs. So when we say upper motor neuron, spasticity, hyperreflexia, it was first described by Erb in 1875. It's a rare upper motor neuron variant, accounting to about 2% lang of motor neuron diseases. So the pathology is undefined. So what does it show? There is weakness, distally, and asymmetrical. The course is slowly progressive, there's spastic paralysis, and bulbar palsy. So patients may develop clinical lower motor neuron abnormalities over the course of the disease. Hindi man siya kanya exclusive to upper motor neuron lang. May nagagawa ang lower motor neuron signs. And these features are rare. There can be muscular atrophy, there can be bladder dysfunction, there can be subtle cognitive changes, and respiration is unimpaired. On EMG, there may be subtle evidence of active or chronic denervation. So there are fasciculations and fibrillations that we see as well in lateral sclerosis. And there's decreased recruitment. So what's the criteria for PLS? When do you distinguish PLS from ALS or other types? So there's the Pringle criteria in 1992, where it says that the disease is restricted to upper motor neuron system for at least 3 years from the time of clinical onset. Currently, it's 4 years duration with neither clinical or electrophysiologic evidence of lower motor neuron involvement. So sa years, we're looking at years. 3 years na upper motor neuron lang, 4 years of upper motor neuron lang. Then it can be primary lateral sclerosis. The problem involves the lateral aspect of the white matter of the spinal cord. So what do you see sa lateral aspect of the white matter of the spinal cord? The lateral funiculus or lateral columns. What do you see there? The ascending tracts and descending tracts, and primarily the corticospinal tract. That's why it's more upper motor neuron. However, lower motor neuron involvement may occur later, and by this time, it will require reclassification. Okay, so in 2019, there's the consensus diagnostic criteria for PLS, which says that there should be the presence of at least age 25 patient, progressive symptoms of upper motor neuron dysfunction for at least 2 years, and signs of upper motor neuron dysfunction in at least 2 of the 3 regions, involving the lower extremities, the upper extremities, and the bulbar area. And the absence of sensory symptoms, active lower motor neuron degeneration, or any alternate diagnosis. So it becomes probable PLS if there's the absence of significant lower motor neuron degeneration from 2 to 4 years. It's definite PLS if there's the absence of lower motor neuron degeneration for 4 years or more. And what are these upper motor neuron signs? There's spasticity with its associated weakness, pathological hyperreflexia, whether Hoffman of the upper extremity or Babinski and extensor toe responses of the lower extremities, and so the bulbar affect. Okay, is there treatment sa PLS? There's no cure for ALS, no? You couldn't give any medicine to reverse the symptoms. But there are supportive treatment, like giving anti-spasticity medicine, or for suitable bar affect. When you say suitable bar affect, what does that mean? Oh, behavioral changes, no? The patient couldn't control his or her emotions. Nagkakahambal, pala either the patient is crying or the patient becomes jocular, yamuhat na siya. So we give them antidepressants, SSRI, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, or tricyclic antidepressant. SSRI like escitalopram, TCA like amitriptyline. Okay, but what about the prognosis? It has better prognosis than ALS. How many years do we give for ALS? Like how much is the survival, more or less? Mga 2 to 5 years. So this is longer. The survival can be years to decades. In one study, it has reported 19 years. So very slowly progressive spastic paraparesis, spreading to the upper extremities, eventually involving the pseudobulbar area. Okay, so another type is hereditary spastic paraplegia. So we refer to the more involvement of the lower extremities. So this is a group of genetically and clinically heterogeneous syndrome. So it's divided into two types. There's the pure HSP and then the complex HSP. Complex being may additional features siya. Additional features like mental retardation, ataxia, muscle wasting, speed changes, optic atrophy, extrapyramidal feature. When you say extrapyramidal feature, what does that mean? What do you see from the patient with extrapyramidal? Mga involuntary movements, no? Shaking, tremors, what else? What other involuntary movements do you know? Those we have mentioned last time. There's chorea, atetosis, all these, no? Okay, they are outside of the pyramidal tract. Ang pyramidal tract is responsible for motor. Pyramidal tract, or what is the other name of the pyramidal tract? The pyramids. What's the other name? Or the corticospinal tract. So corticospinal tract is responsible for motor. Kung maigo ang corticospinal tract, there will be profound weakness, 0/5 kailangan strength of the patient. But if you will affect the extrapyramidal pathway, the patient can still have 5/5. Puta mo lang siya galing involuntary movements. No? Ka-shake lang siya, ka-jerk lang siya, like that. So, for these patients, may labot na spastic na, there are other features like extrapyramidal features. And there can be sensory polyneuropathy. Okay, so we refer to pure HSP, otherwise known as Campbell-Lorraine disease. There is degeneration of the corticospinal tract with loss of prominent involvement of the dorsal column. So we refer to the spinal cord, for example, no? Corticospinal tract is found at the lateral aspect of the white matter of the spinal cord. Then there's involvement of the dorsal column sa likod, and the spinocerebellar tracts, and the motor and anterior cortices. So we see from the patient lower limb spasticity of the extensors and plantar flexors. The spasticity is out of proportion over weakness. The upper extremities may be involved. There is impairment of the vibratory sense. There is ankle areflexia. So upper motor neuron siya, pero areflexia ankle. Distal muscle wasting and bladder dysfunction. Positive family history and rapid progression later on. Okay, we exclude spinal cord disease, vitamin B12 deficiency, multiple sclerosis, or DOPA responsive disorder. Somatosensory evoked potential may be abnormal, whereas central motor conduction is minimally affected. Okay, so pure HSP siya, but because it's hereditary, these are the different modes of inheritance. So there's autosomal dominant, autosomal recessive, and X-linked inheritance. Autosomal dominant, so the problem is in are in loci of chromosome 2, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, where there is mutation of spastin or paraplegic gene on chromosome 2, variable onset either before or after 35 years old. There's autosomal recessive type, and there's the X-linked type. When you say X-linked, what does that mean? You see them among males lang. Males lang, no? Yeah. Females become carriers. Okay. Anyway, I'll be giving you the slides. These are, let's just run down through them. Okay, complex HSP, this is the one with additional features. Other organ systems are affected. So there's the Sjogren-Larson syndrome, where there is HSP with ichthyosis, mental retardation, retinal degeneration. There's Behr syndrome with optic atrophy. There's Kielin syndrome with mental retardation, retinal degeneration. There's the one with severe sensory neuropathy and mutilating lower limb acropathy. There is distal muscle wasting. There is cerebellar ataxia. What is more reported is the Massa syndrome. So HSP with mental retardation, with aphasia, with shuffling gait and adducted fat. Okay, so we go now to the lower motor neuron signs. Flaccidity naman, no? Flaccidity, hyporeflexia. Okay, so progressive muscular atrophy. It's a rare sporadic adult onset, clinically isolated lower motor neuron syndrome due to degeneration of the anterior horn cell or the brainstem motor nuclei. It was coined by a French neurologist, Aran, in 1850. So earlier pa siya than Erb. Patients will present with progressive muscular atrophy of presumed myopathic cause. But this was also reported by Duchenne. Duchenne is very popular for the muscular dystrophy, no? So that's why it was called Aran-Duchenne or Duchenne-Aran disease. But in 1853, Crovelier reported atrophy of the ventral roots. So hindi lang anterior horn cell. It has reported involvement of the ventral roots. No? Spinal roots coming out of it, as reported by Crovelier. Okay, so progressive muscular atrophy accounts to about 8 to 10% of patients with motor neuron disease, or 0.02 in 100,000 of the population. Males will have higher incidence than females, 3.1 to 7.5 is to 1 female, and later age of onset, 63 plus minus 11 years old. So ang PMA will have better prognosis as well than ALS, with a mean duration of 3 to 14 years. Okay, so what is the problem in PMA? There is anterior horn cell degeneration, there's corticospinal degeneration, and there's genetic mutation. So majority of these patients presenting with PMA will eventually develop the upper motor neuron signs. Diba lower motor neuron siya? So may araman siya upper motor neuron signs eventually. So the pattern is distal asymmetrical. It can show proximal symmetric involvement in 20% of cases. There is bulbar involvement in 40% of cases. And initial diagnosis of PMA developing upper motor neuron signs later on in 1/3 of cases, up to 1/3 of cases. In fact, post-mortem examination will show upper motor neuron degeneration. So for PMA, presents with lower motor neuron signs, but eventually may upper motor neuron degeneration. Okay, so how is it diagnosed? So, diagnosed either clinically or electrophysiologically of lower motor neuron dysfunction in 2 or more different myotomal distributions, whether the upper extremity, the lower extremity, or the bulbar muscles. And there is evidence of the disease progression over time and exclude other lower motor neuron syndromes. Okay, let's skip this. Very boring. Anyway, I'll give to you these are all, You can read about this. Okay, so for the treatment, there's no definitive treatment or supportive treatment. The rate of progression varies from slow to very rapid, with a median survival duration for about 12 months longer than ALS. So in summary, a progressive muscular atrophy is rare and difficult to diagnose. Motor neuron disease with isolated lower motor neural features, and we give supportive treatment. Okay, we now go to hereditary motor neuropathies. So under these are inherited spinal muscular atrophy, spinobulbar muscular atrophy, or other hereditary bulbar palsy. Because if you don't show interest in the lecture, I'm not interested too. Okay. So let's start with spinal muscular atrophy. So there is SMA0, which is the prenatal or the congenital type. There is SMA1, or we call it the Verdmin-Hoffmann disease, or the severe infantile acute type. There is SMA2, or the Dubovic's disease, or the intermediate, or the infantile chronic type. SMA3 is the Kuckelberg-Wellander disease, or childhood chronic type, or the juvenile type. And SMA4 is the adult onset proximal form, and the distal SMA. Okay, so SMA1 is the Verdmin-Hoffmann. These are patients who will present with, or these are called flappy baby, or present with frog-like position, presenting with areflexia and wasting. And there is death, about 50% by the 7th month. Type 2 is the intermediate form. It occurs about a bit later, 6 months, where the patient will have scoliosis, but the tendon reflexes are preserved. SMA3 is Kuckelberg-Wellander. So it appears a bit later on in life. The patient presents with facial weakness and kyphoscoliosis, but normal life expectancy. SMA4 is the adult type, either autosomal recessive or autosomal dominant inheritance. And distal SMA presents with distal signs and symptoms. So this is the table. You can look at it. You can read on it. Now we'll go to spinobulbar muscular atrophy. This time, just think of spinal and bulbar involvement. So this is otherwise known as X-linked bulbospinal neuronopathy or Kennedy syndrome, found only in men. Being X-linked, it's found in men, where the patient presents with limb cramps, weakness, mild to severe bulbar involvement, dysphagia and dysarthria, fasciculation. It was discovered by, or reported by Dr. William Kennedy. That's why it's also called Kennedy disease. So it's X-linked, slowly progressive neuromuscular disorder of the limb and bulbar musculature. It's adult onset. And the problem here is excessive number of CAG trinucleotide repeats with polyglutamine. So the features of SBMA are lower motor neuron with limb girdle distribution of weakness and bulbar palsy, shaky muscles when holding postures, facial or perioral fasciculations, tongue atrophy with longitudinal midline furrowing and scalloping borders, and generalized fasciculations. So these are the areas involved. There is the proximal muscles of the upper extremity, the tongue, the spinal cord. Cranial nerves are affected. There's weakness of the facial, palatal, and tongue muscles. Jaw drop, contraction of the perioral musculature. That's why it's called quivering chin phenomenon. Hand tremors. So other symptoms are cognitive impairment, swallowing difficulty, speech difficulty, and respiratory muscle weakness. So other abnormalities are enlarged gynecomastia, impotence, low sperm count, shrunken testicles, and reduced sex drive. Okay, so the diagnosis is markedly abnormal sensory nerve conduction studies. Blood tests will show elevated creatine kinase, and genetic tests will show the presence of KLB gene. There's no treatment, but regular exercise and pain management and PTOT and speech therapies will have a role with normal life expectancy. And the last is hereditary bulbar palsy. So it's a progressive bulbar palsy, otherwise known as Brown-Guiletto-Van Leer syndrome, with sensory neural deafness. So this would show progressive palsy of the lower 6 cranial nerves over 10 to 20 years. So the features are ataxia, optic atrophy, muscle denervation, or upper motor neuron features. Fasciolin disease would appear in younger population. So the onset is within the first 5 years with severe bulbar symptoms. So this is the graph of all the motor neuron diseases. If it's a combination of upper motor neuron and lower motor neuron diseases or symptoms, it would be ALS, not ALL. ALS. If it's predominantly upper motor neuron, especially corticospinal involvement, that would be primary lateral sclerosis. If it would involve the bulbar muscles, then that would be called pseudobulbar palsy. If it's predominantly lower motor neuron involving the anterior horn cell, it's called the spinomuscular atrophy. And if there is involvement of the brainstem nuclei, it's bulbar palsy. This is the prognosis. ALS would be about 2 to 5 years. Progressive bulbar palsy is worse, less than 2 years. Progressive muscular atrophy is 5 to 10 years. PLS is more than 10 years. And SBMA, the patient will survive it with normal lifetime. Some patients with motor neuron disease variants will evolve into classic ALS over time. Others will continue to show restricted clinical features even late in the course of the disease. So precise definitions may not be crucial, but recognition of these variants is important to present to the patient the different course and prognosis of the disease. Let's finish this so we can do whatever we want to do. Okay, so how do we treat motor neuron diseases? Symptom management, nutritional management, respiratory management, palliative care, and are there medicines to slow down disease progression? So the symptoms again are dysarthria, dysphagia, cyalorrhea or excessive salivation, emotional lability, depression, weight loss, bladder urgency, and sleep dysfunction. There's also constipation, edema, pain, spasticity, cramps, fatigue, and weakness. So for cyalorrhea, symptoms result from inability to clear oropharyngeal secretions. We give medicines like glycopyrrolate, amitriptyline, hyoscyamine sulfate, or scopolamine, transdermal scopolamine, and we provide the patient with a suction machine. For emotional ability, we give antidepressants, amitriptyline or SSRI, and non-pharmacologic treatment involving counseling and support and providing support groups. For spasticity, we give medicines, baclofen, dantrolene sodium, pisanidine, benzodiazepines like diazepam, and botulinum toxin. And there's the role of PT and OT. And we provide them with assistive devices, cane rollators, AFOs, wheelchair, Hoyer lift, cervical collar, and drums. If the patient couldn't swallow, we offer PEG insertion. For those with significant weight loss, inadequate fluid or caloric intake, difficulty swallowing. If the patient will have difficulty swallowing, frequent choking, prolonged meal times, and aspiration pneumonia. So, And there can be respiratory problems like dyspnea on exertion, supine dyspnea, marked fatigue, excessive daytime somnolence, nocturnal arousals, vivid dreams, and morning headaches. So what are medicines that we can give? There is Riluzole. It's a glutamine blocker. There is also Memantine, which is an NMDA receptor antagonist. It blocks the binding of glutamate to its receptor. There are growth factors, antioxidant, CoQ10, and then statins. So that's the mechanism of action of Riluzole. It blocks sodium entry so that glutamate will not be extruded to the synaptic cleft. So these are other medicines in the pipeline, but no proven treatment still at the moment. Okay, so it's an incurable disease. ALS is an incurable disease. So clinicians are still investigating of any treatment for ALS. That's why to be able to fund research, they have coined this Ice Bucket Challenge, where celebrities take the challenge and be able to nominate another person to donate for research. So it's a way of bringing attention and creating awareness for ALS. It's in the month of August. Okay, thank you. Yes. Sensory neural, sensory function. So more mga sensation.